Multiplying fractions by fractions. In this video clip, we're going to look at some simple examples that aren't unit fractions, that have numerators that are not just 1. So here we don't have 1/3 times 1/4. We can actually look at 2/3 times 3/4, which is a little bit more sophisticated. So to tackle this, what we need to remember is that the multiplication symbol also is another way of saying groups of, and so 2/3 groups of 3/4 is the same as saying 2/3 of 3/4, and we covered that in the unit fractions multiplying fractions by fractions clip. So 2/3 of 3/4 is actually what we're exploring here and trying to solve, and that's shown in picture form at the bottom. So now it's actually quite a simple process. Here we have our 3/4 coloured in light blue, and we need to break this into thirds, or 3 equal groups, that then can be used to find our 2/3. So to do that, first I'll start off by breaking this into 3 equal groups using red. So I'm just going to break across, which might seem a bit strange at this point in time, but I'll just go through in this fashion. So breaking this into 3 equal parts, I've got a part at the top, a part through the middle, and a part along the bottom of this light blue section. And I now need to find 2 of these 3 pieces. So that is 1/3 or 1 piece of the 3 that I've created, and that's 2 of these 3 pieces. So 2/3 of 3/4 is actually this orange section that I've now coloured in. So I will now cut up the rest of the shape just so that I understand what each of these pieces actually are. And now that I've done that, I can see that each of these small pieces are actually 12ths. And I have, in my orange section, 6 of them coloured in. So the answer of 2/3 of 3/4 is 6/12. So 2/3 times 3/4 must also be 6/12. And that's my answer to that problem. Now, as we already have discovered previously, we can also use the multiplication of the numerators. 2 times 3 gives us the 6, and 3 times 4 gives us the 12, or thirds times fourths will equal 12ths. So this is actually quite a straightforward way to go about it. The way that I actually did the sketch down below was actually a little bit unusual, and if we look closely, there was actually a simpler way we could have done this. So just to take you back to 2/3 of 3/4 that we began with, if we look closely, we can actually notice that in fact we already have 3 light blue pieces. So it's actually broken already by being 3 pieces into 3 equal groups. So to create thirds of that, we would just say that these 3 pieces that I'm pointing to in orange can be our thirds. So then we need to find 2 pieces. So 2/3 would be these 2 pieces. So 2 pieces out of 3. So we could colour those in as 2/3 of the 3 pieces that we have. And that would give us 6/12, but also the equivalent fraction much more clearly as 1/2. So we can see the equivalent fraction by doing it in this method. And this is an example of where we use common sense. If we have good, strong understanding of what the fractions are we're dealing with, we can actually cut straight to this final answer rather than relying on multiplying the numerator and the denominator and bouncing the fraction out as an answer and then simplifying.